The exhibition that we'll do next in our collection centre is called Beyond Dementia, and it's a project that's been developed with a charity and with a group of people who are living with dementia. The charity are called Together Dementia Support, and they work to make sure that people who are living with the disease are able to have a rich and full life, which is something that's a huge issue for everybody that encounters or has to live with this very difficult disease. And for us, it's part of a wider programme of work that is all about allowing different kinds of communities and constituencies to take what they need from our collections and from the spaces that we have here at the Whitworth. So we've done a lot of work with older visitors, and we did a lot of work with older people who didn't visit, and in many ways the work around dementia has come out of that, because lots of people who are living with dementia don't come to galleries and museums because they're fearful about whether they'll get the kind of support that they might need. So this project has allowed us to work with a charity who are already supporting those who are caring for people who have dementia, as well as those who are living with the disease. And they've taught us, if you like, how we can work better with them so that they can take joy from the things that we can offer within these spaces. And for the people who are living with dementia, it also offers something which is about them being able to best live with the disease. So exploring a collection is all about your feelings and your memories. It's about the instinctive reactions you might have to colour or the form of a painting or a sculpture. And so there is lots which is naturally therapeutic. So this isn't about doing something that's an add-on to what we do at the gallery. It's just making sure that the rich things that art can give anybody is available for people who are living with this disease. And for me, that feels really important, because galleries as social and therapeutic spaces, I think, are going to become increasingly important as our population ages and as we have to live more and more with diseases like dementia. And it's even more interesting for us as a university art gallery, because we've been able to draw on the growing body of research which shows us what do we need to do to make sure that people can get most out of life right to the very end of life. And for all of those reasons, it feels like this exhibition is doing something which fulfills the gallery's social purpose as well as its artistic purpose, and just making sure that every person, whatever situation they find themselves in, gets something out of the Whitworth. One of the particular things we were keen to address through this project is that there's a real stigma associated with dementia, particularly with early onset dementia. People don't want to admit that it's happening, they don't like to talk about it, and it can have really profound impacts for people in terms of the possibility of employment and their ability to kind of move around and involve themselves in the life of the city. Now, increasingly, early onset dementia is happening for people in their late 40s and 50s, and they might live for many decades with the condition. So the gallery becomes a really valuable space because we're public, and so we can educate people and actually help break down that stigma, as well as give people a form of social and learning activity that actually delays the onset of the more difficult symptoms that are associated with dementia. So it has both a public advocacy role and a really profound therapeutic benefit for the people who are involved. And those two things together feel really important.
I'm Sally Ferris. I set up Together Dementia Support in September 2014, and I'm a director, but I'm also a very hands-on group leader. I facilitate some of the groups myself. So I set up Together Dementia Support because I felt there was a need. I'd been working in Manchester with people with dementia and felt there was a need for more support and activity groups, places for people to go that were accessible, where they could do interesting things, where they could meet other people and get involved and feel they belonged to some sort of support network. So I set it up and it's grown slowly over the 2.5 years, but we now run 7 groups every week and 2 other groups monthly. We've been involved with the museum, the art galleries in Manchester and various professional artists over the time that we've been running because we want to offer high quality activities because we think that's important, that people should be able to access the best and really stimulating activities, not just come and sit and sometimes be bored. And we're lucky in Manchester because there are some great organisations that are well resourced that have been open to working with us. So first of all, we've brought a couple of groups to the Whitworth Art Gallery for a coffee, cake and culture session where they've been able to do an art workshop and look round the gallery. We've also had artists come to some of our community groups and offer some really interesting activities that our members have really enjoyed. And then recently we had the opportunity to get involved in the Beyond Dementia project with the Whitworth Art Gallery. And we invited some of our members, those that are quite insightful and want to talk about dementia and what it means to them, but were also interested in doing creative work. So specifically with Beyond Dementia, we've had the expertise of the artists that have come in, trained volunteers that can enable our members to feel confident in using all that the Whitworth has to offer and access the exhibitions, which we wouldn't otherwise know how to do. And also the expertise and the facilities to put on a great exhibition at the end of it, which, you know, I think our members are going to be really thrilled to see their work so well displayed in the exhibition. So the exhibition, being called Beyond Dementia, is helping people who come and see it to think about the participants. Yes, they are living with dementia, but some of them are also, well, all of them all still have a lot of talent and creativity and ideas. Overall, I hope it will encourage people who might have been given a diagnosis of dementia that they can still do ordinary things, they can still be who they are. There's some continuity with the talents they've always had. Life doesn't stop when they get dementia, and we need to really challenge and counter all the stigma there is. There are too many negative images on television about very poorly people who maybe feel neglected and forgotten, and that's really frightening to people who might have just been given a diagnosis. So by showing people living well with their dementia for many years, we're not denying that there can be a lot of difficulties with dementia, but you can live well for many years. People are being diagnosed earlier, so it's important that they don't just go into a depression when they're diagnosed, but they can feel, right, I can carry on with my life, I have to make adjustments, but there are people I can meet, places I can go, and lots of stimulating, interesting things I can continue to do.
In 2000, I started noticing having a few problems with my memory, not remembering conversations, telephone calls, even forgetting me grandchildren's names. And that's when it starts to hit you, what's going on. Then in April 2002, I had a stroke which affected all my left side. I couldn't speak for 2 years, and it's through the goodness nature of my family and my grandchildren what got me speaking again. As dementia can affect many people in many ways, people forget about the young people or don't realise young people can get dementia. Most people in society think it's the older generation what get dementia. Where possible, I would always encourage you to discuss with friends, family, and don't hide away that you have dementia. A lot of people do understand. Try and continue with your hobbies. Try and find new skills, coping skills. Come to terms with the condition. In today's society, you will find that you are treated with scepticism when you're younger with dementia. It's put down to stress and other problems maybe in the family life or at work. They say life has many changes, and this is true, but it's also coming to terms with that understanding. And once you come to terms with it, then you can move on and make a better life for yourself. And in 2005, I wrote a poem which represents all the different feelings and what was going on in my life at the time. I'd like to read that to you now. It's called The Forgotten. You wonder why. This passage of life you cannot control. Some days are good, some days are bad. This invisible illness is so sad. So look at life, you will see how it changes both you and me. Struggling to capture the present for my future. Had a thought, and then it's gone. My mental camera will not stay on. The lights are on, but no one at home. The family are here, but you still feel so alone. Woke up this morning, and all I could see was a blue-grey mist in front of me. Waiting, hoping pictures will stay to stop sands of time slowly trickling away. So theft of thought and the right words to say, many passing memories have gone away. So grasp our lives with both hands and educate others to understand.
A dementia champion is somebody who has been to the Alzheimer's Society one-day training course. Being a champion means that you're able to run Dementia Friends sessions, giving people some basic facts about dementia, so 5 key facts about dementia, and asking people to do something small in their lives in order to help people with dementia. The Dementia Friends initiative is not a dementia befriending service. Sometimes there can be a bit of confusion about what actually the initiative is about. It's purely about running information sessions for people to come along to know some key facts about dementia and to be prepared to maybe help in small ways somebody with dementia. But it's not about befriending people with dementia, and it's not about being a dementia expert either. If you're interested in becoming a dementia champion, which I would really encourage you to do, I think one of the qualities that you need to have is you just need to be prepared to stand up in front of a group of people, potentially, or sit down in front of a group of people around a cup of tea and spread the message about dementia. You don't need to be the world's best person at presentation. You just need to have confidence in order to stand up in front of people. And I think if you're enthusiastic about something, then that confidence will come naturally. Sometimes people wonder whether you need to be a dementia friend before you become a dementia champion, and the answer to that is no, you don't need to. I became a dementia friend before I became a champion, and it was actually by becoming a friend that encouraged me to go and become a champion. But if you think, I just want to go in for it and I want to go for it and I want to become a champion, you can just sign up to become a champion, and then during your champion's training with the Alzheimer's Society, they run a friends session as part of that day's training, which will mean you become a dementia friend at the end of the day as well as a dementia champion. So once you've been to the Champions Day, you're then given access to all the resources in order to run these friends sessions. And you can run a session with a couple of people round a table with a cup of tea, or you can run a bigger session if you want to. There's no rules or regulations about how you run the sessions. It's just about getting the message out there. By becoming a dementia champion, you're committing to running Dementia Friends sessions, but there isn't any strict rules or regulations about how many sessions you need to run, when you need to run them, and how many Dementia Friends that you need to make personally. It's something that's left up to you to decide how it fits in with your life, your job, other commitments that you have. What I really like about the Dementia Friends initiative, it's about doing something really small, and by doing something really small you can make a big difference. And I think that's one of the really great things about the initiative. By becoming a friend or by becoming a champion, you can make a big difference in someone's lives just by perhaps spending a bit more time to understand what they're asking, helping somebody in a really small way. And I think It's very easy in such a busy society that we live in just to let things pass us by, people go by, and to not take that time. And the initiative is just about being aware and taking a little bit of extra time with people. And I found it really rewarding, both professionally and personally, to be part of the initiative, and I'd really encourage you to join in.
I've just taken part in a Dementia Friends session, and the main reason, happy to tell you, the main reason I came along is I'm an architect and I work in housing for people with dementia, and so I wanted to find out more about the experiences and how people behave and how to help people and what sort of things can assist people with dementia. It was really interesting. I think some of the analogies that the presenter used were so perfect to explain exactly how someone's experiencing the world if they are living with dementia. Yes, it was really informative.
So there are people in my life who are struggling with these sort of issues, and I just wanted to find out more really, and this was a good first stop really, to signpost me to some other resources, but just to give me a bit of awareness, I guess. It was actually really interesting because I thought I would turn up and learn a lot of facts and figures and maybe some strategies to help, but it actually gave me a much broader awareness about some of the realities of living with these sort of conditions. And what I was interested to hear was some of the stories, and some of the analogies that we've learned have given me a whole different awareness really about how it might feel. And so for me it's going to be about giving me some patience when I'm dealing with that and trying to balance that wanting to help but without getting in the way of people's independence at the same time. That person isn't suffering with dementia, they are living with dementia, and that sets up a whole different mindset and a set of behaviours and thinking patterns that we can have as people who aren't living with that condition, to be more considerate, more courteous. It's hard to feel positive about it, but I feel more positive now that there are things that I can do better and be more helpful. So I've come away with a new understanding, a new perception of that, I guess.
My name is Leslie Perkins. I became involved in Together Dementia Support because my mum has dementia, and she's had dementia for about 6 years. So becoming part of a group that and a charity that supports people just seemed a natural progression to be able to help people and to gain some help for ourselves as well. So there are the charity has been tremendous really in helping us to find other people that live with dementia and live well with dementia. Who can take part in the community and be creative, have some fun together. And certainly as a carer, it's really helped me to feel less isolated with what happens day to day. And I'm an artist as well, so it's been really good to work with my mum, which we do. We work on pieces of work together. And that's good because it gives us time together with a focus. Being part of anything that the Whitworth does is such a treat. So the opportunity to be part of the project and have a lead where the fabulously forgetful friends is concerned, it was just been magic. I became involved with the Whitworth in November last year when the Whitworth and the Together Dementia charity talked about supporting a group to look at how the fabulously forgetful friends could work with art and become involved in creative pursuits. And we put together a programme of 18 weeks where we would look at various activities, some of them around pottery and spending time together, so that we could be creative together and look at the key benefits of creativity and how it affects dementia and living with dementia in a positive way. And we call that project Beyond Dementia. It's colourful, it's bright, And sometimes it's really quite dark and really quite hard, and there feels like there's no let up sometimes. So doing things and then moving on to other things is a nice pause. It breaks up the time, it breaks up sometimes the thinking, and I get to spend time with the person I love most in the world, so that can't be bad.
I've been working with the Whitworth Trafford General Hospital. I was artist in residence last summer. And it was a lovely partnership where the objects were being brought into the hospital, and we were working with patients and staff, familiarizing the hospital with creative working. We'd never worked on those wards before. This paved the way for the research that was done. In the autumn time, in October on Ward 6, and then I worked on Ward 2 in early this year. And so that's basically the type of work we were doing. I was facilitating workshops that were multimedia. I found I used drawing as well as collage, which were very useful tools. Encompassed all skill base, so even people who could barely able to do much, I was able to help them, like for collage, for sticking things on. So it was very useful to have a wide variety of materials. The objects we brought in were also useful because it instigated discussions. So if people weren't interested in the creative activity, they could engage with the taxidermy animals or the artworks from the Whitworth. And so it provided a wide range of experience. My work is very narrative and it tells a story. And so by working with people, the perfect example is the work I did at Trafford. Is one of the staff members saw the Manchester Bee in one of them, and she said, "It's the Manchester Bee, but I'm not from here." So I thought, I needed to put the Manchester Bee on the other two pieces. So what it is a dialogue, creative dialogue with people, and it's the engagement. So to me, it's not working with people with dementia specifically, although it's very useful because I use objects. Both my parents had been in facilities, so I've worked with people, been around people personally, people with dementia. And then through my practice, because objects promote reminiscence, early on using the assemblage work, it sparks memory. And so I ended up getting into it through a project I had many years ago. There was a woman who worked for the National Museums of Liverpool, so she actually got me into working with reminiscence work, and that's what started the whole thing.